There once was a place enchanting your darkest desires. There once was a road that crossed all your tranquility. A fight for true love, a fall for timeless lust, secrets of the labyrinth, destroyed bonds at the glance in a mirror. Hearts closed, thorns in prison, a spirit hardened. Rise up, warrior, confess your truth. Join us inside Black Garden. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Decree of Dominion podcast with your host, Dark Law. We have a very special couple from You Stuck With Me podcast joining us for episode 2 of our brand new Black Garden Dating and Relationship series launching in September of 2024. I hope everybody's having a great night. And before I kick it over to You Stuck With Me, Marquis and Taylor Williams from You Stuck With Me podcast, I just want to encourage the audience to always look in the mirror. And I hope that something that is said throughout this episode resonates with you, whether you're in a happy relationship, happy marriage or not. I hope you can take something and glean from this and apply to your daily life to decree the dominion of your mind and become the best version of yourselves. And so with that being said, how you guys doing?
We're doing good. It's kind of hot up here.
All right. And so I'll let you guys, why don't you tell the audience who you guys are?
My name is Marquis Williams.
And I'm Taylor Poindexter Williams.
And we're co-hosts of the You Stuck With Me podcast.
You stuck with me.
So in our podcast, we talk about Black love, marriage, arguments, first dates, everything in between.
Just basically a modern day pillow talk, and we talk about all the topics that you might be talking about with your girlfriends, your guys. You know, we just bring it to light.
Amen. And so again, welcome Marquis and Taylor Williams from You Stuck With Me podcast. And so viewers, I hope you guys are ready. It's going to be a power-packed episode as we begin to break through layers of the Black Garden. And so with that being said, why don't we start from the beginning? How did you guys meet, and what was at what moment did you think that, hey, this is the one I'm going to start dating?
Okay, every time we get this question, we always got a preface that is 3 sides to the story. His side, my side, and the truth, which is my side. But you want to kick it off, babe?
Yeah, so we actually met in high school. So she was a freshman and I was a senior. Granted, I was a young senior. I was actually a year ahead of where I was supposed to be. So our high school was shared a junior high, so it was a combined junior high and high school. So
it was a small school, to say the least.
So I did see her in the hall periodically going to class, but I didn't think much of it. So her freshman year, we ended up having gym class together because our school was so small. So she's sitting on the bleachers talking to a friend of ours, and me being me, as silly as I am, I walk over and I sit next to her, and then I look under her sleeve and I'm joking. I'm like, that. You need to get rid of that. Thinking nothing of it, just me being silly. So 2 weeks later, I had the gall and audacity, hence on the audacity, to ask her out to a movie. This is where our story starts to diverge. Not only did she not tell me no, she didn't give me an answer.
As he was saying, he got curved by a freshman and he had to hold the L, but that's not what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
So to backtrack a little bit, so when he did lift up my sleeve and look under my arm, he was talking about my underarm hair. Okay, how detrimental is that to a freshman?
But you be told, I actually didn't see anything. I was just being stupid.
He was being stupid, but I really thought he saw something, right? So fast forward, he did ask me out. I was dating somebody at the time. Don't you start.
You were doing what?
I was dating somebody at the time. We're not doing this right now. But I told him, I'll think about it. I'll get back to him. But I had got sick and I was out of school for a week. And then by the time I got back, out of sight, out of mind. And part of it was he was a senior. I was a freshman. So, I'm like, I'm just a baby freshman. He just tried to run game on me and everything like that. But I always tell him, if he really wanted an answer from me, how come he didn't follow up?
All the times you say that, I actually have a rebuttal to that. If you really wanted to go out with me, you would have came back and said yes.
Well, hey, out of sight, out of mind, I was dating somebody. But to make a long story short, how we reconnected. So he became a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. And, I was just on Facebook and I just saw he became a Sigma. So that following summer, he noticed that I became a Zeta, excuse me, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, which is the sister in the Greek world. It's his sister organization. And he reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, Soror, welcome to the family. I went away to school. I came back. We actually reconnected at a picnic. That summer I came back to Chicago. And what they say, the rest is history."
Amen, amen. What a great story. I hope you guys were listening in on that. Two key things they said was, one, when you're dating somebody, make sure you put them on hold, out of respect for the previous relationship, right? And then also follow up. So they said they followed up years later when they were in college, and obviously growing up in a small town, same school, they knew each other. And so I encourage all the viewers, hey, there might be somebody that you knew back in high school that's on your Facebook right now. Go ahead and, what we call it, shoot your shot. You just never know what'll happen.
Yeah.
And so like they said, the rest is history, right? And so what a great, lighthearted story. Again, there's 3 versions. So just a little quick out there for the fellas, the women's always right? So you just, like I said, when you're married, you just have to hold your L. And so with that being said, at what moment did you guys know that, okay, this is the relationship starting to kick off? This is the I can see myself marrying this person.
Well, we always like to say, for starters, the Marquis and Taylor you see now are not
the Marquis and Taylor you said
7
years ago.
So what we mean by that was there was a lot of growing, a lot of trusting, a lot of patience, a lot of communication, heavy on the communication, a lot of faith in each other.
I would say I knew that Marquise was my person from the beginning, like before we even started talking about marriage or before we even started, getting serious. So I lost my mom several years back, and me and Marquise were just friends at the time. We had a disagreement. It's so long ago, I can't even remember why we stopped talking. But I remember I was coming home from work and I picked up my phone and I just texted him. I said, "Hey, I'm sorry I haven't reached out in a while, but my mom's in ICU. Just let you know what's going on." And he was like, "Forget all that. I'm on my way." So that there showed me like he knew how to put petty differences aside, and he was there for his friend. Now at the time we wasn't dating or anything like that. I was just his friend. So just him being there during that moment of adjusting to like being in the house by myself without my mom being there, and navigating like the responsibilities she had, the household responsibilities she had, and just trying to navigate that, and him just being patient with me and just being there. Like he didn't have to like pay for anything. He didn't have to like buy me flowers or anything like that. Just physically being there just to hear me vent or give me some tissue. And I had those moments of grieving. And I was like, you know what? This is something special here.
Amen. There's 2 points I want to touch on, and we're going to kind of break down that here in the Black Garden. First thing Marquis said, I hope you guys were listening. Well, he mentioned having faith, and what they've said in a synopsis of a little bit of what happened is he showed her grace. A lot of times in relationships, and even I've had to learn this, with the twins. I'm been a single father of twins, a co-parent, 6 years old. I had to, me and her have, in our co-parentship, have had to look past, those petty differences from, back when we were, 21 and 23 years of age. And what he's saying is, he showed her grace, like, hey, it's about having awareness within your own, mindset, right? So even though they weren't dating, hey, this is my friend Taylor. I'm not, I'm within my heart, having a good heart without the expectation of something in return, whether you're friends or not. Hey, my friend's in need. Forget what the petty stuff from the past. I'm going to go help. And um, that's one thing I want to talk through is that having the grace factor. Um, because a lot of relationships in general, a lot of friendships, like they said, they started out as friends. So this wasn't even within the marriage or within the serious dating phase, y'all. This is what they said is, hey, this is just friends getting to know each other and building that connection, right? And
Mhm.
as a man, I want to speak to the men that are viewing as well. He might have not, I don't know if he knew that would be his wife at the time, but he's, having a good heart. He said, hey, one of the Bible verses, don't get weary in well doing. And he said, hey, I haven't heard her for weeks, for months. We had a falling out or a disagreement. Hey, my friend's in need. I'm going to go. Don't you worry about it. I'm going to go. And I want the viewers to know he didn't have to do that. He could have not answered. He could have blocked her number. He could have, there's a lot of different petty things or different things we do, because we're all human, right? Nobody's perfect. And I do want to commend you, Marquise, on, again, what he said is having faith and grace throughout the journey. But it all started from that beginning when he was friends. And I want to talk on that point. Um, what, in you guys' opinion, how did you develop that grace um, from the start of the friendship? And then how did that progress as you guys kind of grew within your relationship?
Well, I think for starters, just because we already had a history with each other from high school, and it was just kind of like picking up where we left off. Um, was it an easy transition back to that? I would say yes, but I think in a way we were also kind of blind to the fact that like we're not high school students anymore. We're college aged adults. We've graduated. We have careers now. So that was something that was still kind of we both got had to get used to. But once we did get used to it and we were like, okay, she's got things that she's got to handle now. I have things I have to handle now. So we we basically gave each other grace like, hey, I know you got this going on right now. I got something going on. Let's let's get together and see if we have like a meeting in mind so we can be cognizant and make sure that we're not stepping on each other's toes or we're just being blind to the fact of what the others got going on.
Awesome, awesome. And so again, like I said, showing that grace and what you just said was teamwork. And it's putting what you also said was putting your problem, taking consideration of the other person's situation and responsibilities, tag teaming and realizing that, hey, you know, she's not gonna be, there 100%. She's got to deal with her stuff. I got to deal with my stuff, and as a unit, working through that together. And so I want to commend you guys on that. And again, guys, those out there listening and viewing, again, as they said, it's a journey. They're not perfect. They're still not a finished product. It's a daily walk. It's what I call the infinite game of life. It's not a one day. I'm gonna help you one day, and then our relationship's going to be great. It's a daily concerted effort from two individuals that, lead to the unity.
And
And
just because of who we are as individuals and our character and our morale, I think that's what also made it so easy for us after a while to just become one a cohesive couple, because a lot of people around us say this, that they would say that we're two types of the same person. So I think naturally, just us being us, our natural personalities is what makes us so. Uh, we bond so well. We finish each other's sentences. I see her facial expression, and I know what she's thinking. She'll see my facial expression, and she'll know what I'm thinking. And it's like playing ball with teammates you've been playing with for years.
And just to backtrack on the grace part aspect. So one thing I want to clear it up. So it wasn't always like this. Like we wouldn't always give each other grace. And I say for me and Marquis, you can agree too. It started out learning how to give myself grace, right? So I always say you always want people to love you or talk to you a certain type of way or give you grace, but if you can't give yourself grace, like do your inner work first, it's going to be hard to show it to somebody else. So with whatever I was going through at the time, like simple mistakes, like I'll be mad at myself, like dang, I should have, I'm just using an example, like study for that test, or I'm putting myself last and stuff like that. So just having that that rapport, excuse me, of working on myself again, giving myself grace or giving myself affirmations. I think that's what helped me be the support system and be the rock or foundation, whatever Marquise wants to call me today, to his foreground.
Because with everything that we've been through, I never had to worry if she was in my corner. It's just like I already knew she was there, and I wouldn't even have to look back there. It's just that's just the type of person she is, and that's just the type of relationship that we've developed, and it's definitely served us throughout not just marriage but dating, friendship.
Yeah, our foundation always been based on trust and open communication. Because some relationships or even some friendships I've had, and Marquise, like I said, you could agree too. Some relationships we didn't have that open communication, right? Like sometimes either you just go without saying or you just let stuff, fester over time. And from my experiences, that didn't always work. So growing up and when I got to that dating age and stuff like that with previous relationships, I know like, okay, I'm gonna try this differently. Let's do more open communication. Let's be honest. Let's be open. Let's, be more vulnerable and see what happens. And here we are.
Y'all, I hope y'all are listening. What she said was powerful. One, she said, you win you. I want to speak on that real quick. In relationships, you attract what your mindset breeds. Your power of the tongue, right? She said, hey, I had to show myself grace. And I want to speak to the viewers real quick because some of you, like I said, you might not be in a relationship. You might be searching for a relationship. If you don't show yourself grace, and what she also said is the positive affirmations within herself that bled into the relationship that allowed them to become a cohesive unit. What they're speaking on is they have chemistry, a natural chemistry with each other, and a natural trust that is developed. And, a lot of couples and relationships don't have that even with just friends. And it starts with yourself. And I want to speak to the people that we call them negative Nancy's, right? If you're always doubting yourself, if you're always negative, regardless of your relationship or not, it's not going to be healthy. It's draining to the person. You can't have one person in a relationship that's super positive. You can't have one person that's super negative. You have to be balanced. And like they said, they have an open communication. So even if you're down, like I said, we're all human. Every day is not the best day, right? But you have to make it the best day. And if there's a problem, that's where the open communication is on explaining, hey, this is what's going on and this is why I feel that way, and gaining that clarity. And so I
And
want
what
to
we've
encourage.
also, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
And what we've also learned in our relationship is not just open communication, it's effective open communication. Because you can say something repeatedly until you're blue in the face, but the other person isn't getting it. There's a communication mishap there somewhere. So you got to make sure that, or at least with us anyway, we make sure that if we don't think that we're speaking clear or we're not making sense, we'll always ask, like, am I making sense or do you understand what I'm saying? Just for that confirmation. And it definitely helps with our communication because that that takes away any confusion or any second guessing or whatever you want to call it, and it makes everything run so much smoother. Does it work all the time? Not all the time, but when it does, it's a thing of beauty and a sight to see.
And first of all, I don't say it that nicely. I'm like, what are you talking about? He says it nicely, but I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what you mean? So yeah, there's always a lot of that coming from me because it's like he'll explain something, and I'll just like, I think I get it, but what you talking about?
And so they're also saying, don't assume, right? Especially a
Exactly.
lot of people want to text. A lot of I'm pretty sure a lot of this is in person communication, effective communication. So let's say you're texting something. It's like, hey, let me, wait till we get home. We'll talk about it. It's that kind of
Yeah.
communication.
Mhm.
Because like I said, text or or you might say something and you might not be in the right, frame of mind and you might hear it the wrong way. And it's like, wait a minute, I didn't mean it like that. But if
Mhm.
you don't, again, instead of assuming, if you don't get that clarity, you know, it could, like I said, ruin your moment or ruin your day. You might think, wow, you're being harsh or you're being insensitive when it could have just been, hey, I didn't mean it that way. This is what I meant. And so it's always, developing a strong relationship is gaining that clarity to continue to build that chemistry. And there's also something that they did speak on earlier I want to touch on as well, from the beginning, is when she called him and explained the situation with her mom, he said, I'll be right there. And so I want to speak to the fellas real quick. Fellas, you have to have what they were talking about, faith. You have to be a go-getter in life. Nothing in life is handed to you. And what he did, he made a leap of faith from his heart, without the expectation of a relationship. And so what I'm saying is he didn't know that they would be married today, or maybe he did know, but he had the faith that, you know, hey, we're going to develop. But it all starts with that given heart. Again, not getting weary and well doing, you know, the things hoped for, but yet not unseen, right? So you might not see it with your eyes, but having the faith that it's there. And, that was the start of a wonderful, healthy marriage. And so, with that, I want to ask you guys, um, what's one of the hardest things that you had to overcome when you were transitioning from just dating to a marriage?
Mm.
I say for me, and I always say this. One thing that I had to really learn is to change my vocabulary. And I mean, instead of saying I, my house, my car, it's not I anymore. It's we. It's us. Ours. And another thing is just being excuse me, being accountable for my actions. Like sometimes I might do something and I might think, oh, it's just gonna affect me. No, not necessarily. It might affect us Bay over here too.
And
So
one
just shifting that mindset, like it's not me. I don't have to do this on my own. Oh, I don't have to work at it by myself. I have a teammate. I have a permanent teammate now.
and the one thing that I'm definitely proud to say about her is she is huge with accountability. I never have to question whether she's going to take accountability for her actions or what she says, whatever the case may be. because just by our relationship by nature is grown to that point where she's no longer like, well, I didn't mean, or she's like, okay, you know what? I did this, or I said this. This is what I mean. If it hurts you, I'm sorry. And I love her for it because it just makes our cohesiveness just that tight and just that strong that we feel like nobody can break us. God said, "Let God bring together, no man shall break." And I honestly believe that this isn't going to break.
Amen, amen. She said something really powerful. She said, "We before me." And she said she had to develop that mindset again. Just before people get in marriages, just as humans, we have a natural survival instinct, or hey, this is mine, or some of you might be single parents, some of you might be single, living by yourself, paying all the bills by yourself. Even if you're dating somebody, you might still live in separate households where you're paying all the, responsibilities and bills yourself. And it's, once you go to marriage, it gets, what they call serious. Y'all, it's like time to put the big girl pants on, time to roll the sleeves up, right? It's not all sunshine and rainbows. Hey, we're bonded, marriage is a bond through Christ, right? You're not just last name, not just bloodline when kids. It's, hey, this is ours. Like she said, this is not, and Erin, what they also said is accountability. And that's key in any relationship, but especially marriage, because like she's saying is, hey, if I go out and let's say I go to a casino and spend $2,000 and lose it all, that doesn't just affect me. Hey, that affects our family income, right? That affects the whole household. Let's say your mortgage is $1,500. You just spent, lost all the mortgage money. Now you're, not only bringing harm and stress to yourself, but also your spouse. And so it's having awareness and being cognizant of, hey, every decision I make affects not just me. And what she's saying is that she had to realize, hey, I have to watch what I say, my vocabulary, because again, even if I buy it with my money, it's not really my money, it's our money. And so that's one key shift. And so with that being said, when you guys kind of got first married, what are I know people have all those horror stories of, we all have that friend, y'all, that coworker, like, and I've been divorced like 5 times. I done been married 3 times. Like, I ain't getting married. I'm scared of marriage, or marriage is just a piece of paper, right? Or, who wants to get married? I'm scared to get married. I don't want to be tied down or be, locked up, So what are some, negative stereotypes of marriage that you kind of like heard going in, and, what are some of those? And, can you kind of shed light on how it's not all bad?
Well, the first one that I'm pretty sure both of us heard was marriage is just a piece of paper. And my thought process about that was, okay, you said marriage is just a piece of paper. You get up and go to work every day to work for money, which is a piece of paper. So what's the difference?
And I always say this, excuse me. I always say this when I always hear it's a piece of paper. Well, marriage to me, of course, we're in it for love and all that, and companionship and being with that person, right? But it's also a business. You just like any other company, you see a startup company, they going through some troubles or anything like that. Then you got a bigger corporation who might have some problems here and there. But once you join those together, it becomes a powerhouse. So what's the difference between this piece of paper, which you claim is a piece of paper, than trying to start a business? Marriage is the same thing.
I like that. I like that comparison.
Yeah. So marriage is gonna have you're gonna have assets, you're gonna have liabilities, but at the end of it all, you just choosing to take a risk.
So it's kind of like the Empire, right? I know that y'all remember that show Empire.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy. Marriage is like a business. That's great. I've never heard that one before. So just to kind of elaborate on that, like you said, And I think that's one key part of marriage that people kind of forget when they're like stuck in like the love or like the good parts. Again, every person, when you get married, you're gonna bring, like I said, those assets, but you're also gonna bring those liabilities, right? You're gonna bring the baggage, what they call it, or you know, hey, the people don't tell you when you get married, your credit scores combined, right? Your debt combined. Um, Family trauma, generational curses. One hidden thing I always like to ask when I'm looking to date is, how's your relationship with your parents, or you have a big family? How's your relationship with your siblings? Those are, liable questions to ask. And then as you get serious, it's even like, for me, for example, my family has a history of, high blood pressure, diabetes. When you're looking to maybe start a family, those are some questions you ask, like as you're, you know, talking through, starting to feeling like, hey, what are some genetic things that I gotta, be mindful of? And, like you said, it's a bit, just like a business. Hey, we're gonna, thinking about joining companies, right? Hey, what are some liabilities? What are some parts of your company that aren't so great? And, are we, the key question you have to ask yourself, and I want the viewers to listen, is it um, worth the risk? Is it worth the investment? Right? Just like a business. And you have to think about that when you're looking to date and marry.
Yeah, because some people may not make good partners. Some things that they have in their quote unquote stock portfolio you don't want any parts of. So and I think that's an issue with our current generation when it comes to picking partners. They're not vetting the person properly. They're just
Or they
saying,
don't know how to vet, which is a thing too.
yeah, that's a good point. Or they don't know how to vet. And when they finally see the things that they wouldn't want, it's too late.
And then also it goes back to what I was saying before. You you, you may not vet properly, or you may not know how to vet, but also that goes back to what I was saying before about knowing yourself. You gotta ask yourself, what are your deal breakers? What is it that you're looking for? What is it that you're willing to ease up on? What are some habits of a person that you're willing to tolerate? What are some things you're not going to tolerate? What is your deal breaker? What are you going to say yes to? What are you going to say no to? And that was one of the things I saw in Marquis. Some things, I was like, I ain't really rocking with it, but I keep an open mind. It's not a deal breaker for me. And vice versa with him. He probably like, okay, there's some things Bay does that I'm not gonna rock with, but let me see where she goes with this, because it's not gonna make or break me.
And
Oh,
definitely, and I'll say this, speaking from my point of view, when when speaking, dealing with this woman, by far the good outweighs the bad. I'll say that right now. Because I've dated some women who were, yeah, and then some, like, they weren't that bad. But this one right here,
And I say I learn a lot. One thing that I do admire about him, he has opened my mind to a lot of things, a different way of thinking. See, I'm one of my, I guess, for lack of better words, one of my unofficial love languages. You got to intrigue my mind. You got to stimulate me with a new way of thinking. Like, I always was the person that liked to think outside the box. I'm more of like a creative, artistic person. So when he came around, he was like, "Oh, I've been seeing that you budget like this, but how about you do it this way?" I'm like, aha, that does work. And then bringing those two things together, that comes up with a master plan that's comfortable for both of us.
awesome, awesome. And I like what you said there is he helped you elevate yourself. And so you don't want to be stuck in the mud, if you will, or stuck on a highway going nowhere. You want to be with somebody that helps you become the best version of yourself. Because again, that's why they say marriage is through Christ, right? Two bodies working for Christ, elevating each other. And I'm glad you said that. And you actually led right into my next question. What are some of you guys' deal breakers, as you were getting married or just as you were dating? What are some deal breakers, both you guys personally and the caveat to that is also, what are some deal breakers that you think should be stabilized in marriage in general?
Well, first, my deal breaker is if you can't support my walk in Christ, then we can't we can't make it work. We can't be together because I say with that. Now I'm not saying it's a condemnation. You believe what you want to believe. I'm not gonna judge you. That's between who and you serve. But for me, I wanted somebody that can help support me in my journey with Christ. That was number one. And number two, someone who would be open to therapy and not just going to therapy when something is wrong. Like we might have a situation in our relationship where we cannot figure out, instead of just trying to, talk to friends or family who have biased opinions. Let's talk to an unbiased opinion. Let's talk to a moderator and solve this together.
Something that was a deal breaker for me was I am a fervent believer in God. As for my house, we will serve the Lord. The next thing that was a deal breaker for me is unless we're giving each other hugs or kisses or something like that, nobody's going to be putting their hands on anybody in any type of violent manner. I'm not doing that. I didn't sign up for that, and I wouldn't expect you to do that. And if you do that, that there's an issue that needs to be resolved, and you can resolve it without me. You play all day.
I had to. You set it up.
I did. I'm not even gonna hold you. I did.
Right. And I'm glad you said that because, again, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with the therapy, she did say what she's saying is preventive maintenance, right? Build your roof before it rains. Don't wait till you're about to divorce to go to therapy and try to fix it. Because as humans, when you're stressed or when things hit the fan, you're not liable to make rational decisions. But if you do the therapy on the preventive, like, hey, I don't like the way you said that. We can't figure it out. Hey, let's go to therapy, talk it out. Then you work through it, right? It's kind of like working the kinks of something, Back when, like going into church, when you're ironing your suit, you put the little, everybody know about that starch in the can, right? Got to get the
Mhm.
creases out. Same thing. You don't want to wait till the morning of service, late for Sunday school, trying to iron your clothes. You want to iron the night before. Hey, let me preventive. Hey, let me make sure the creases are out of my pants before, the day. And then when I wake up in the morning, let's say you see one or two creases, and you can just, brush it up and you're all good. And so
It reminds me of this saying. I forgot where I heard it from, but it reminds me of this saying. We always take preventive measures with our cars, right? Like and exactly when you need an oil change. You know exactly when you need a car wash. Why not use that same emphasis that you put on your car towards yourself?
That's a word.
exactly. And like I said, and with that being said, don't put all your energy into everything else but yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even in marriage, you have to take care of you as you build the foundation together. So if one of you guys is lacking, and it's not just physical health, right? It's mental, spiritual, emotional. If you don't check, just like oil change, hey, oil filter, check, tires, check, fluids, check, oil. Yeah, your oil was 230 this time. We got to change the filter. You got to go through, and it's a daily check, right? It's not just, again, when the gasket flies off, you got to get a new engine. Hence, the comparison would be, hey, I'm thinking about divorce. Same thing. Oh, transmission went out there. I got to try to go to therapy and try to fix it. Hey, it's gonna cost you $5,000. You got to put the car in the shop for a month. We're behind in parts. It's on back order. Can't get the parts. Now you're at. You want to operate and be fruitful, not with lack, right? You want to lend and not borrow. in that sense. And so with that being said, what are some, like, bear down just to be in a happy, stable marriage? What are some deal breakers that you think every marriage should just stand by or uphold?
Continue to date each other.
Yeah. Continue to date each other. And also continue to take time to spend with each other. Like relearn each other. I guess that goes into dating each other because one thing I heard about marriage too, like you get into a routine, and once you get into a routine, you start to, you know, lose the love and it comes into like this boring phase. With us, we try to incorporate date nights. And it could be something simple like, hey, I'm getting ready to let's take a drive down Lakeshore Drive or something like that. And I'll look to him like, is this a date? And he'd be like, yes. And we get excited over that. So like any little thing that just brings y'all together, that it could be a date.
Like if you look through our YouTube, you'll see a few videos where we've had date and did fun stuff in the grocery store. Um, there's one time that I actually came to visit her at lunch. That was funny in itself.
That was funny within itself.
So I mean, we definitely try to make any opportunity we can to be a date, and it's funny that we come to this topic because I've been seeing this on social media, and I actually want to adopt it into our relationship. And it's actually two videos I've seen. It's one video says that every 2 weeks you go on a date. Every 2 months you go on a one night trip, and twice a year you go on a big trip, or every 7 weeks is something to that effect. And I actually like that, and I think that's another way just to keep our relationship fresh, just to make sure that we're in constant communication with each other, letting each other know how one feels. Um,
And
just
do
keeping the
something
spark.
and do something that the other person likes. So me, I'm a big music head. Marquise will tell you I'm a big music head. So anything with documentary or a movie or something like that, I want to partake in it. So sometimes I might watch like a TV show like Unsung or something like that. That might be a little bit boring to him, but he'll come in the room and just sit there and watch it with me, and and learn something out of it. And that'll make me feel special. Like, okay, I know he ain't really interested, but he'll come join me in it because he know I like it, and vice versa. Like basketball, like sometimes he'll like play a basketball game or something like that. And granted, I like sports too, but sometimes I might, while he go play basketball or something, I might want to do something else. But a couple times I'll just go there and sit at the games, and I notice that me just being there will like lift up his spirits. So I'll say that's another thing.
Oh, you know what? Prime example. Saturday.
What about Saturday?
We went to go see the Brat and Judy.
Oh yeah, we went to go see the Brat and Judy. I'm all about natural hair care products. He'll tell you. He will tell you, like, I always, every time I go to a store, I always gotta see what product is out, and he'll make fun of me here and there. But of course, he's not really into hair care products like I am. But he stood outside in line with me just to meet Brat and Judy, just to take a picture with them and to buy some of the Kaleidoscope hair products. So that meant a lot because it was like, oh, he does care.
Right, right. So what they're saying, y'all, is, continue to keep the sparks fly. Too many times, you get married, go on a honeymoon, and you get complacent. And so what they're saying is to avoid complacency. And that's just in life, not just relationships. You can get complacent at your job. You can get a new video game, get complete, I done got halfway through the game. Now I'm doing the same combos, I'm done, tired. And so with the relationship, they're saying, hey, continue to date each other. And one thing they said that is key in any healthy marriage and healthy relationship is take a keen interest in the other person's interest, because the other person's interest is the other person. And so again, it's not just, the physical touch, the affection, the love, the, cuddling, the, money, financial gain. It's not just the materialistic stuff, it's taking an actual interest in that person. And what they're saying is, when they do the date nights, he might, like I say, he might not like hair. Obviously, we have fades, he's not really too focused on the hair care products, right? But it's, hey, I'm not going to automatically dismiss, what my wife is trying to support. I'm going to, support her. And y'all have a smile on the face when you support people. Because even within marriages, I see a lot of people just out in public, that you can tell the husband don't want to be there. You can tell the wife don't want to be there. A lot of people, and I think that cell phones and social media have a lot to do with it. Take a key. Don't sit at the don't go to dinner with me and be on the phone. I've been on a date like that before, and I was like, yeah, this ain't it. Support one another. Like I said, too many times I see, you can tell the couple's married. I'll be at Kroger, or I'll be at a restaurant on a date, or I'll be at an event, and it'll just be, people, that are married that are just like head down on the phone, like, man, I don't, or even at a concert, like the guy or the girl's like head bopping, listening to the other person just sitting there like, man, I don't even want to be here. So take a keen interest in your significant other. That's what I'll say on that. And so, another question. So what are some advice that you would give to the viewers that are still searching for a healthy relationship, or still searching for that person?
You want to go first, babe?
Because this is one of my favorite questions. I know it's going to be easier said than done, but I say be patient and give yourself grace. And I think one of the, I don't want to say issues, but one of the barriers that I've noticed with our friends who are waiting for their person, or waiting for that one, or longing to be married in the dating pool, it's always a timeline, right? And I always have to tell them that another person's timeline doesn't mean it's your timeline. Things happen for a reason, and things have a place or a specific time, a reason why it happened. We may not understand that. God has this thing where he will reveal to us when it's time. So I would just say, give yourself grace. Don't always expect that, oh, I got to be married by 30. I got to have these kids by 35. And I got to make sure I'm retired by 70. Sometimes it don't work like that. And I know that sometimes, for us as women, we always hear that we on a biological time clock. That when we got to have kids by a certain age or be geriatric, right? And I'm not going to lie, that does sound kind of discouraging and everything like that. But would you rather hurry up and have a kid with someone that you don't have no connection with, no emotional ties to, or you be like, man, I wish I hadn't done this, or wait until you have that person that you feel comfortable with, and they will be excited for you to have their son or daughter. You know what I'm saying? So I would just say, be patient and give yourself grace. I'm not gonna lie and say it's gonna be easy, because it's not gonna be easy. But that's just part of the growing pains.
Also, something I would say, because I see a lot of this going on, don't believe everything that you see on social media.
Oh, please don't do that.
Because as you can see, social media is tainting a lot of minds, and the people who it's making it harder to look for the person that you're really trying to find. And I say that don't believe the whole 50-50 thing. A man is supposed to pay for this, a woman's supposed to do this.
You do what's best for y'all.
Yes. No pun intended.
Yeah, it was tailored for you. No pun intended.
So what you say, the social media is, all the fluff and rainbows, right? The false.
Social media is smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, about 95% of the time it's smoking with mirrors. You might get that few 5% that might be honest, But that's the thing about today's society with social media. You can cut, edit, you can leave, you could post some up and it leave illusions.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Right, yeah, but there's the catfish photos, taking a picture, they ain't got no teeth. And then
Yeah.
you got the like I said, the Lamborghinis that are renting on Turo. Yeah,
Mhm.
they don't know about Turo. Yeah, I'm gonna educate the viewers. So Turo, yep, you can get that whatever car, $300, $200 a day. You got it, rent it. Go on, take the picture, video, cut, edit.
Yep.
Make it look like you drive it. There's a funny story about that. One of my coworkers actually owns a Maserati. So sometimes I joke with him. I said, "Hey, when you gonna let me just take pictures by your car? I always want to do an experiment, take a picture next to it, and like getting in like a whole video, and just to see, the fluff of social media, how many views I can get, just as an experiment." So they always joke around with social media, and so, what are some tips that you would give married couples that are maybe struggling to maintain that happiness? And what are some motivation or some helpful tips that you can give to married couples to continue to grow and develop within each other?
Don't forget why you married that person in the first place. Also, and we've done this, and this helped us greatly. Every morning you wake up, you ask your significant other, how can you be of service to them? What can I do to make your day easier? What can I do to make your day brighter? Put a bigger smile on your face than what's already going to be on your face.
And I would say, and I would even add on, if you feel like you gave all that you can, and I'm not just talking about, throwing money at it or, dates and everything like that. If you really feel like in your heart, both in your heart and, well, three things, in your heart, your mind, and your spirit, that you given all that you can and that it's no more left, then okay, that's when you leave. But if you feel like, if you have that gut feeling like I do, I feel things with my gut. If I feel like something is still worth fighting for or I'm still passionate about, don't be afraid to go ahead and do it.
Because sometimes all it takes is one of you to make that extra push that saves everything.
Yep.
That's a great point you made. He said again, Marquis, he said, wake up not just, when you feel like it. He didn't say on weekends when you don't have to work. He didn't say on holiday. He didn't say during tax time when you have extra money. He said every single day, wake up and ask your significant other, your spouse, how you may be of service to not you, to them. Again, he said, wake up not when you feel like it, not when you're health, not when you have your vitamins taken. He said, wake up every single morning and ask your spouse how you going back to the beginning of their whole foundation. Again, she gave him a phone call, y'all, as friends. And he said, I'll be right there. Again, it's what they're saying throughout the episode is it's in their DNA. It's in their spirit. This is how they operate. He said, we wake up every single day and we ask each other how we may be of service to each other. Because I'll let the viewers in on a little secret. If both of them service each other, then you're both service anyway. Would you think of that? 1 + 1 = 2. How about that? So a lot of times, in not just marriage, but in relationships in general, you want to avoid the pitfalls of one-sided relationships. It's always me, I. And what Taylor said throughout the episode was she had to change that mindset from the jump. As soon as she knew she was getting married, it was like, hey, I'm gonna have to change my vocabulary, my mindset, and like I said, how can they be of service to each other? And like she said, when she said doing all you can do, it's not just money, y'all. You can't throw money at everything. You can't throw kisses, love, affection, intimacy at everything. You can't throw date nights at everything. You have to have a considered effort. And Marquise made a small point. I hope you guys caught. He said, remember the reason why you married your significant other in the first place. What's your why? Start with Why is a good book by Simon Sinek, as well as The Infinite Game of Life. Those are two great books by Simon Sinek. So go ahead and check those out. Just on mindset, but every day I encourage the viewers to, start with why. Whether you're married, if you're married, the question I have for the viewers: look in the mirror. Do you service your significant other? That's the first question. And do you do it consistently? Again, they say they do it every single morning. How many mornings we wake up, we done snoozed the alarm twice, you done, everybody wake up looking like a troll. Ain't no makeup, ain't no natural haircut products. The fade needs to be brushed right. Glasses off, crust in your eyes. And they still, you could be sick, stomach ache, what have you. And still every morning, whether it's sunshine, raining, storming, snow, ice outside, every single morning they wake up, look each other in their dead in the windows of their soul and say, how may I service you today? And that's just power in itself. And I hope the viewers are listening to that. If you're married, like I said, you don't have to do everything they're doing. These are just some successful tips. This is a small blueprint on some successful tips that actually work to maintain a happy marriage. And so with that being said, what are some last minute just tips, overall tips on dating, relationship, marriage in general that you would give the audience, and let the audience know how you can find You Stuck With Me podcast?
Well, first up, well, babe, you want to go first or?
No, go ahead.
Okay, well, my tip that I'm going to give is for the gentleman, because obviously I can only speak to the men. In Ephesians 5:33, it says that a man who finds a wife finds a good thing and he obtains favor with the Lord. I feel like ever since that I found a good thing, a wife, I've obtained favor with the Lord, and I've seen Him work miraculously in my life. It's not going to be sunshine and roses, but to end my tips for the men, old saying, can you stand the rain?
I'm gonna end mine with a funny story, and Marquis always laughs when I tell this story. So when we were dating, I'll make it quick. When we were dating, I used to FaceTime him every day during my lunch break, right? And this one particular time, I would say, "Oh, you have some pretty eyes."
I know where this is going.
You have some pretty eyes, right? I would compliment him. I would find something every day to compliment on, like, "Oh, you so cute," whatever, right? And my friends at the time, they were like, "Oh, you so corny. Why you tell this grown man that he has pretty eyes?" Right? 2 weeks later, I come up with an engagement ring. So the the point of my story is, don't matter if your friends think it's corny, or if your family thinking you're doing too much, or you think whatever they think whatever you're doing is not the right way to do it. Do what's best for you. Whatever your friends, family think, like, why aren't you fixing your man a plate, or why don't you clean the house, or why don't you do this, why don't you do that? Everybody's gonna have opinions, but at the end of the day, just remember, whatever you do is going to be in service of your significant other, and if they're not complaining about it, it's no need to worry about it.
Well said.
I think I need to say that again.
Yeah. Say that again.
Encore.
I said, whatever. If your significant other's not complaining about it, then there's no need to worry about it.
In other words, Ice Cube, if it don't mind, it don't matter.
It don't matter.
Amen.
And so go ahead and tell the viewers how they can find your podcast.
You want to do it like how we do it on the show?
Oh, always.
All right.
You can send us an email at ustuckwitme@gmail.com. That is ustuckwitme@gmail.com. You can reach out to us on our Facebook page, You Stuck With Me, leave us a message. You can reach out to us on our Instagram, that is YouStuckWithMe_podcast, USTUCKWITME_podcast. You can find me personally on my Instagram and X page, formerly known as Twitter, as mine_1, that is M1NE_1.
And you can find me on Instagram and the app formerly known as Twitter under Queen Points. That is PO1NTZ. Again, that is Queen Points, PO1NTZ. And also, if you want a little bit more behind the scenes of how we have our karaoke moments, our karaoke rehearsals, and my pre-recording yawns?
Yeah.
Before the show, you can follow me on TikTok under Queen Points 22.
And if you want to follow our podcast, we're on YouTube, we're on Apple Podcasts, and we're on Spotify. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, make sure you like, rate, review, subscribe, and share with your people.
And remember, you stuck with us, so we'd like to thank you for having us on here. And you family now. You stuck with us. You can't get rid of us, too.
Yeah, we're not going to go no time soon, bro.
Amen.
No time soon, bro.
And so, again, it's been a pleasure. The Creative Dominion Podcast. Go ahead, again, like, follow, subscribe on Spotify. Black Garden, Episode 2 with Marquis and Taylor, Poindexter Williams from You Stuck With Me Podcast. Episode 2 will be launching Black Garden series September 2024, y'all. It's been a pleasure. Again, until next time on the Creative Dominion. And remember, all the listeners and viewers, take something that was said here today, apply it daily to your life, decree the dominion of your own mind. The Bible says, be fruitful, multiply, subdue, and have dominion over the earth, but we want to have dominion over the mind and become the best version of ourselves. Hope you guys, if you don't have a happy, healthy relationship, I pray that you find one and use some of the tips spoken today to achieve that. And if you are in a happy relationship, or if you're in a relationship that's not so happy, wake up every morning and ask yourself, how may I service you today? Until next time on the Creative Dominion, this has been Dark Law, and you stuck with me. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Creative Dominion Podcast with your host, Dark Law. Be sure to follow and like on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, and go ahead and follow our Facebook and Instagram pages as well. We hope that you took something and resonated with it, that you can apply it to your daily life to become the best version of yourself and decree the dominion of your mind. Remember, decree and declare and take back your rightful throne and your rightful place into the best version of yourself. Thank you.